Dharma means duty. It is not the same as dharam, which means religion, which consists of a set of principles and philosophies, laws, and even commandments. Why do human beings need to be commanded or shown the rule book every time? Because they deviate from what is considered to be human. They deviate from certain principles of love and compassion, and the list is long. But whenever human beings deviate, they need to be shown this rule book. So there is something very wrong with human beings and the way they live, and they are missing some very important lessons, and that's the only reason they deviate. And the number of times a particular religion has to tell their followers to look at the rule books again and again, or to come to the place of worship, or to listen to a lecture of the holy person of that religion, that's a very clear indication that the teachings of the religion have not transformed people deeply, which is what is required. People deviate from the natural laws of the cosmos, of nature, which are the natural laws of God. And when they do that, there's a lot of devastation and suffering and sickness and damaging of the planet. So, what is Dharma? Dharma means duty, and duty comes from your responsibility of returning something to the person, to the system, or to nature that has given you. So the first thing is you receive, and because you receive, you have a duty to fulfill in returning what you received or doing something about it. From the very time that each human being is born, a baby who has just come out of a mother's womb, the first thing they receive is air. The next, mother's breast milk. And we know that air is an element of nature. But many people don't know that milk is also containing the elements of nature, the 5 elements of earth, water, fire, air, space. In different proportions, the water element is the highest, next is the earth element, next the fire, then air, then space. And this is very detailed in my book Become Healthy or Extinct, in a chapter called the 5 Elements Therapy. So right from the time a baby is born, it receives the element of air and the element of earth, water, fire, air, space in mother's breast milk. And from where does the mother's breast milk come from, and how is it made? Obviously by the food the mother eats. And the food, whether it's a grain or a fruit or a seed or a leaf, each of those things has the 5 elements of nature. So right from the process of birth, all throughout our lives until we die, we receive the 5 elements in different forms that come into our body, become our nutrition, and out of that we do a lot of work and art and music and everything. Similarly, animals, birds, plants, reptiles, they also receive on a daily basis the 5 elements from nature. And when it comes to food, They just find their food. That means they find one form of the five elements, and they eat their food. And of course, after their food is digested, a lot of the energy is used for their work. But what is to be discarded as their feces or poop, it goes back into nature. So there's a cycle that is forming. And all species except the human being receive from nature the pure elements, and they use it through their system, and they return the pure elements back to nature. Even if oxygen is taken, carbon dioxide goes out, and that is transformed and used by Mother Earth in another way. It is recycled. But human beings, if you look at food, we are the only species on this planet who, after finding food, we don't just eat it naturally. We take it, we modify it, we cook it, we make food. Human beings are the only species on this planet who make food and do all sorts of things to food, contaminate it with man-made, synthetic, inorganic molecules. And then that food becomes a poison over a period of time, and today that is taking the shape of various types of cancers: gut cancer, pancreatic cancer, liver cancer. So all the other species are following Dharma in its purity, and human beings are the only species on this planet who violate Dharma. And the consequences are what you are seeing in the world today. So we take the air, we don't just breathe it and give out carbon dioxide, we put it in engines, we transform it into different ways, we create fumes, pollution on the planet. We take the food, natural things from nature, we process them, package them, put them in tins, and in the bargain also create waste. Once people eat those processed foods with their artificial preservatives, taste enhancers, stabilizers, it's a kind of a package in which there's atomic warfare going on. So we take those tins and those Tetra Packs, open them up, put all of that atomic warfare in our body, and we expect to remain healthy. That's what doesn't happen, and that's what is 70% of the chronic illnesses on this planet, whether it is high BP, cholesterol, diabetes, arthritis, obesity, cataract, glaucoma, liver problems, kidney problems, hormonal imbalance. 70% of them all come from unnatural forms of food. And that's why all of these illnesses only happen to human beings, and they don't happen to any other species on this planet. So we take the five elements in the form of food, we contaminate it, cause sickness and disease to the human body. Then all of these packagings, we put it in, throw it in the garbage, and then you have a garbage problem all across the planet. For the tins, we take out ore from the earth, make holes in it. For the Tetra Packs and plastics, we take out oil from the seabeds and create another set of holes. And for the bottles, we are taking sand and finishing up all our seashores. And we are wondering why we are having earthquakes after putting holes in the earth. But the earth is going to resettle and rebalance herself, and she's doing the right thing. So all of this devastation that you see, the cosmopolitan cities, like even in India, people don't want to live in Delhi and Mumbai and Pune anymore because they cannot breathe the air. This is what human beings have done to the air on the planet. All that we needed to do was that these natural elements that came from nature or from God, we had to keep them in their purity and return them back to the planet. Even the poop, it goes and decomposes. There is a natural law of decomposition all across this planet. That's why leaves and whatever falls down on the earth, or even animals, when their dead bodies fall on the earth, they decompose. And that's why you don't see the earth getting bigger and bigger in diameter. It remains the same because it's a natural law of decomposition that brings up the five elements and takes it down. That's a cycle. But human beings are only species on the planet who have broken the cycle, and now we've created so much of garbage in synthetic molecules that are not biodegradable, and we have put all of these effluents in our water systems and in our seas that has contaminated the water. We have taken each of the elements and we have poisoned them and destroyed them, and that's what we are doing to Mother Earth. And now when she replies, as per the law and energy and flow of molecules, which are all part of God, this is God's response to what human beings have done on this planet. So how smart and intelligent are we as a species when every other species on this planet has lived by the laws of God and has kept the planet pure? And we are the only ones who do not know the meaning of God, who do not know how the energy and the particles, Higgs boson particles, are flowing in through everything that exists, whether it exists in the form of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. They are all energies that are participating with us, with nature every day. And the real Dharma was to keep all these particles in their purity and return them back in that way. And if we had managed to do that, there would not be any pollution, sickness, soils that are so chemically treated that you only have plants and foods that come out of them that are toxifying the human body. Have you never wondered why the most important thing, Dharma, a duty for a human being to keep things natural in this cycle of nature, why is it never taught in our schools? I never learned this in school. What are all the religions of the world doing? Preaching and teaching for decades and decades and decades. And amongst their own communities and people across the world, they see the hand of God and the hand of Mother Earth slap them left, right and center now. There are few civilizations across this planet who have lived by Dharma, and they see God and they participate with God. And those are the indigenous tribes across the planet, whether they are the Mayans, the Hopi, the Aborigines, the Red Indians. They all follow the natural law of decomposition. They have no carbon footprint. If you have no carbon footprint, you are living by the laws of God. You are evolved and you are enlightened. You have learnt many important things that are necessary for life on this planet. So now, because nobody has taught people Dharma, all of the actions are destroying the earth. And a tribe has risen who have the sensibility and the understanding and the intelligence to do the right actions now through their everyday work, through the principles that they live by keeping things natural, organic and recycling, and they are called the Earth Keepers. The people who really know how to keep the earth and all these elements of God on the earth in their purity. And I'm so happy to have some of these amazing human beings as speakers on the New Earth Summit. Whether it's the first day on health, of integrative natural medicine in mind, body and spirit healing, or on the second day of organic and natural food formats, whole foods, natural farming practices, and on the third day of environment, as people who are teaching us about rainwater harvesting, how to not pollute the groundwater system, natural homes, saving and protecting the seas and the species of different life forms that are in it, saving the land, and following natural models of living, not these cosmopolitan concrete jungles that we have created in these cities like Delhi, Mumbai and Pune, which I call the graveyards of humanity. People are dying now, that they're becoming malnutrition because they are lacking in vitamin B12 and vitamin D3, because they live in concrete boxes with no sunlight, and they wear shoes all the time with no grounding, and they don't get any ions from the earth to neutralize their free radicals, and they don't drink natural water that contains the bacteria that make B12. And from that water, from streams and brooks and groundwater and wells like we have in the villages, those bacteria travel to the soil, and from the soil into the plants, and that's how the plants have B12 bacteria. If you don't cook them completely and kill all the bacteria in it, you will get some of it. So that's the reason I left Mumbai and this future graveyards of humanity format, and I came to Goa, into my ancestral place. And right now I'm on my ancestral plot. That is still the way God made it, and I'm trying to keep it that way. And of course, if I want to build a home here, it will be a natural home. So these ideas and all the people who are helping me do this, and also the summit, they are the earth keepers. And their tribe extends all across the world in people promoting environment, veganism, integrative natural medicine, herbalism, natural living systems. And it is so sad that the modern man who thinks he's educated, in fact, has learnt nothing. And now we have to look at the trees, at the animals, at the soil, at the sea water, at the quality of air, at all the 5 elements. We have to look and learn from them. They are our real teachers, because we are full of garbage in our heads. And that garbage is what we are manifesting on this planet in different forms. So what use have our education systems been in this regard? But they have not taught us anything great. Neither have so many of our popular gurus on this planet taught the real science of life and how God is moving through all living things, and how you should treat God. If gurus and religions cannot teach you about God and how to live by the laws of God, what use have they been so far? Only teaching us to pray to an imaginary God that does not exist, to save us from all of this devastation and destruction. We are the most stupid species on this planet, especially modern man. And now is where we have to look at the indigenous tribes, go back into their villages and into their jungles and help them teach us what is living and what is life. Please think very deeply about every action that you do from the morning to the night. Whether you are being part of the problem by creating and using things that defy the natural laws of decomposition that are the laws of God. When you find such things in your life, please correct them. It is because we have not done this in the past that we face all of the damage, destruction, and the earthquakes and the pollution of the air, and we are not able to get good drinking water. There is a lot of real education we need to go through to understand what is sustainable and what will work for us now and for our future generation. A new experiential based model of learning for our youngsters needs to be formed, and it is already under formation, but it happens in natural live environments. And that is one of the reasons in Goa, with a good group of friends, I'm trying to create a eco community that is following natural principles of living, of housing, of food production, of educating our next generation, which is so important. They've learned all the wrong lessons. They just look at their parents and they follow whatever their parents are doing. And the parents are the people, some of them who are sitting on the board of anti-pollution NGOs and talking a lot about pollution, but if you go daily in their houses and you see what they do from morning to night, you will see they are doing things that are contributing to the garbage and pollution and the depletion of the ozone layer on this planet and to the global warming. So that is how much we lack real intelligence and awareness. So please think about how you live and whether you are part of the problem or you will educate yourself enough to start doing the right actions so that you are part of the solution and the future of this planet. Thank you and God bless.